Hey, this is Raise Radio, the holistic wisdom podcast for awakening women that weaves food and nutrition, traditional wisdom, spiritual expansion, so that you can feel your best, body, mind, and soul. I'm your host, Raina Lutz. Let's dig in. I want to do a talk about keto because everyone's talking about it. It's one of the diets that, unfortunately, I wish I wasn't hearing about anymore. And over the last 5 years or so, it's like people in the grocery store talk about it. Lady doing my nails would talk about it. And so, everyone's like, that's the best one. My so-and-so had success and they lost a bunch of weight. And if I had a dime for every time someone in my career as a nutritionist asked me if they should do X diet, if I had a dime every time someone asked me if they should do this diet, any diet, I would be retired on my 70 acres by now. So keto is the newest diet, kind of one of the newest hot ones, other than carnivore, that everyone's been talking about in the last years. And the reason that I don't promote it, obvious fact, it's a diet, so I don't promote it. And I don't understand why people must argue about this with me, because everyone knows that diets don't work. But for some reason, when there's one that everyone is really obsessed with, and there's, research about it, or someone knows someone who had success, then it's like they can't hear that it's just a diet like all the other ones. It's like they have it on this special pedestal where it's almost like it doesn't count as a diet because they've seen it have success with other people. But everyone knows they don't work, because even if that person's having success now, it doesn't mean it's sustainable. And it doesn't mean that that person is not going to suffer health consequences because of the diet that they did. So, carbs are amazing. Carbs are great. We need carbs to survive. I have 7 reasons why you shouldn't do keto, and I have a healthier and better solution instead. So going keto is getting the body to release ketones into the bloodstream. Most of our cells prefer to use blood sugar for our body's energy. That comes from carbohydrates. But in the absence of blood sugar from food, we'll start breaking down stored fat into molecules called ketone bodies. So this process is called ketosis. So the shift from using circulating glucose to breaking down stored fat as a source of energy usually happens over 2 to 4 days of eating. You have to eat fewer than 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day. So technically, you're tricking your body by putting it into its last modus operandi. But hey, the weight falls off, so who cares about severely hurting your body in the process, right? Well, I care. I care about people severely harming their body in the process of losing weight. So, okay, here's a reason why I don't think keto is super cool. It's not new. It's a recycled diet. So in the 1970s, Dr. Atkins blew up everyone's kitchens with his big blue book about his high protein, very low carbohydrate diet for weight loss. That began with a very strict 2-week ketogenic phase. Ooh, sound familiar? I actually remember seeing this book in my family's homes. I remember seeing this big blue book as a kid. And so I love that era. I love the 70s. But I don't love the diets from the 70s. And diets that continue to be recycled make me feel like, we're just pawns in this nutrition world. It's kind of the same as the fashion industry, just releasing stuff over and over again to just keep people buying stuff that was already fashionable like a decade ago, but now it's back, but with a tiny twist, forcing you just to buy more. And so I believe very strongly that diets don't work in the long term. And I know that the majority of people deeply understand this too. Intuitively, they know this isn't a good idea. This isn't good for my body. This doesn't feel good. So why are we so obsessed with keto this season? Because it has worked for some people, right? It has. But is that short term or is that long term? And is that safe? So my second point, the quality of the food needs to be taken into account. Here's a big problem with diets. A lot of times it's tracking, your macros and weighing foods or counting foods, but it's not actually thinking about, is this nourishing me? Is this giving my body proper nutrients so that I have energy and good sleep and I feel good and I'm functioning as a happy, healthy adult human? So because it lacks carbs, a ketogenic diet is rich in proteins and fats. So it typically includes more meat, eggs, processed meat, sausages, fish, cheese, nuts, butter, oils, seeds. So while on keto, most people aren't taking into account necessarily the quality of the foods they're eating, and they tend to eat too much protein and poor quality fats from processed foods with not enough fruits and vegetables. So that is not a balanced diet. So nutrition is therapy. It does really powerful things in the body. And the quality, which means the source, the freshness of the food, needs to be taken into account when we are making upgrades in our diet. But again, this is overlooked in diets because we're not really looking at the therapy part of it. We're just looking at the quick results. So the quality of the food means we are taking care of and nourishing our body, right? So number 3, a keto doesn't feel good long term. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. A lot of people have experienced terrible side effects on this diet. They might feel a little tired in the beginning, or they may have some of these like keto flu symptoms like bad breath, nausea, vomiting, constipation, or sleep problems. These are lack of electrolytes, and these are dangerous. So not everyone who does keto is doing it right. Not everyone has checked with their doctor or is working with a nutritionist who is really familiar with doing the keto diet in a super safe way. We can have our liver enzymes checked and make sure that we're not dehydrated. So, carbohydrates are our main body's source of energy, and it is a fantastic shock to just cut them out of our diet. Carbohydrates are essential. They provide our body with vital vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. They help nourish our body, keep us regular, and they give us energy. And they're the main source of fuel for our central nervous system. Kind of important. So we need carbohydrates in our diet. People with hormone imbalances should never try keto, and people with kidney issues or kidney disease need to talk to their doctors before attempting keto. Not a good idea, as carbohydrates normally account for at least 50% of the typical American diet. I'm not just when I say carbohydrates, not just talking about bread here. I'm talking about carbohydrates found in food like vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Okay, so my next point, it's really, really restrictive, which causes stress. So because it's so restrictive, it's really hard for people to follow in the long term. So the problem remains that once people go back off keto and back to eating carbs in their old diet, they'll put the weight back on. Then they may want to bounce back to keto, thus restarting the vicious cycle of yo-yo dieting. So the question remains, if diets really worked, then why would we keep trying new ones? We want a diet, not a weight loss diet, but a diet that sustains us, that nourishes us. That's what really works, a whole food diet. We don't want those short-term quick fixes. We still don't know if there are any long-term health benefits to following such a strict meal plan like keto. There's not a lot of research regarding what happens after you follow the ketogenic diet and then go back to a more sustainable meal plan with all the food groups and how that will affect your body. So, but if it's like any other diet, chances are high that you will put the weight right back on. The ketogenic diet eliminates or severely limits a variety of healthy food groups that are known to be nutritious, like really good foods, like fruits and starchy vegetables and delicious grains and beans. So whenever food, like whole food groups are cut out of a diet, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and it's lowering our ability for us to nourish our body properly. And I've used that word so often, but it's a word that I love using with my clients to get them to understand that healing your relationship with food is about nourishment. It's not about counting and tracking and stressing and worrying. It's about considering, how do I feel and how do I pick food that nourishes me? Okay, so fats are very nourishing for our body. Fats are very nourishing for our body, and keto seems to be supportive of our nervous system. So if we are stressed or have anxiety or depression or mental illness and we want to support that with diet, but we don't have to do keto to get that. We can simply add more good fats. So that's because many ketogenic diets do not differ from heart healthy fats and unhealthy fats, right? So it might be like lots of canola oil instead of considering the quality of the fats that we're taking in. So my next point, if you're stressed, you shouldn't even attempt keto. So if you deal with chronic stress, anxiety, overwhelm, insomnia, if you have a wired mind, a tired body, if you struggle with sleep, if you have low energy, if you have upper back or neck pain or brain fog, keto is not safe for you. Keto is not ideal for women with adrenal fatigue. The main hormone that goes out of control in adrenal fatigue is cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and that makes us feel wired yet tired. Since the keto diet is low carb, it can increase the stress hormone in the body. So not enough carbohydrates in a diet can worsen adrenal fatigue. Combine that with a stressful job, not enough sleep, and overexertion, you've got yourself a really quick recipe for adrenal burnout. Carbohydrates play a really important role in maintaining the right balance of cortisol in the body. So if you're consistently stressed out, not eating carbohydrates can make you worse. My next point, it's a therapeutic diet. It is not meant for weight loss. It never was. There is solid evidence showing that a ketogenic diet reduces seizures in children, sometimes as effectively as medication. So are you a child who needs support for seizures? If not, you should not be considering keto. A ketogenic diet has been shown to improve blood sugar control for patients with type 2 diabetes. There's been studies done on, its neuroprotective effects. So they've raised questions about benefits potentially for Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, sleep disorders, autism, and even brain cancer. None of these say weight loss. None of these say weight loss. So only short-term ketosis can be healing, but uncomfortable for people who are dealing with these kinds of issues. And they have to have proper, stable blood sugars to even get prepared to get there. Most people do not have stable enough blood sugars for this not to be a concern. So there can be short-term benefits to a reset of the system, yes, for these health issues. Long-term and for quick weight loss, definitely problems. So my last point, long-term sustainable weight loss is smarter. We should always try to embrace change that is sustainable over the long term rather than continuously seeking a quick fix. Everyone knows science. Everyone knows diets don't work, and there is lots of science behind different diets for different diseases. But when it comes to weight loss, everyone knows that when we get off the diet, we go back to what we're used to, back to what's familiar, and we put our weight back on, right? And it's our trauma that's keeping us looping there. So we need to figure out a few things in the realm of getting us prepared for a nourishing, healthy, long-term, sustainable diet. You can find more information on a freebie to support you with this and my free guide that's going to help you with mindful eating, which is the best way to sustainably change your diet long-term so you can actually lose weight the proper way and stop the yo-yo dieting. It's harmful. It's harmful. I hope this was helpful for you today, and I really appreciate you listening. Thank you. Thanks for listening. You can find me online at www.rainadonlutz.com.